Thank you for joining this webinar conducted by Jaxa Chartered Accountants in cooperation with Tally Solutions on the e-invoicing system in the UAE. So, just to refresh, the Ministry of Finance in UAE announced the implementation of e-invoicing system and published the Ministerial Decisions 243 and 244 of 2025, which contains the e-invoicing regulations. This is a major move to encourage the digital economy and digitalization of tax reporting and related compliances. It should be noted that Kingdom of Saudi Arabia already has the e-invoicing system in place, so UAE is now catching up to it. So since today's webinar is a short session, we will not wait anymore. So after the presentation, we'll have a short Q&A and we will try and answer some of the questions you may have. There may be still some areas which is yet to be clarified by the tax authority. So we'll try to answer as much as possible. And you may post your questions in the Q&A section that is available on the screen. So now let's welcome Mr. Praveen Kumar, who is the business manager and product expert at Tally Solutions. He has a deep understanding of the Bahrain, KSA and UAE markets with over 8 years of experience. This is complemented by his proven ability to deliver successful live experiences, having managed over 100 events. Tally Solutions is now one of the pre-approved accredited service providers or an ASP for the invoicing system, and the accreditation is provided by the Ministry of Finance. So now I will hand over the floor to Mr. Praveen, who will be taking this technical session. Welcome, Mr. Praveen.
Thank you so much for such a lovely introduction, and good afternoon and welcome everyone once again. So in today's session, which is brought to you along with Jaxa Chartered Accountants, I thank everyone. So in today's session, we will be discussing about a basic overview as to what the mandate says and how it is applicable to every single business, and how does the requirements for every business in terms of e-invoicing and how to adopt and ensure that you have smooth transition towards this compliance enablement for your respective companies. So, as you know, in recent times, the compliance UAE has become one of the compliance-heavy nation. So, where we are moving towards more digitalization day by day. So, in line with this, we also brought in the VAT e-returns with Tally Prime, which was we are one of the very exclusive service providers in the country to have the ability to provide the end-to-end solution for all your VAT needs. So, and also we know that invoicing is going to be just around the corner where the businesses will start adopting that as well. So let's take an understanding as to what is invoicing, how can you prepare yourself to have a smooth onboarding, and then how Tally as an ASP plus as a software provider helps you do that seamlessly. So VAT e-return was a big leap in terms of compliance because we are one of the very few providers, as I mentioned earlier. So let me just give you a quick look as to how you can file, or your Jax auditors will help you file your VAT returns from Tally itself. So I'll click on exchange at the top. So there's a new option provided which says VAT 201. The moment you click on it, automatically Tally tries to bridge between your software, that is Tally, and as well as your Imara tax portal. So right here, you'll enter your login credentials as to the registered unique login credential of your company in the Imara tax portal, which is very important. So once you plug in the registered email ID, password, and the security code, so then the session will be established, which is valid for 30 minutes. So now, once you do that, you can just switch back to Tally, just click on start the session. So then take help of Jax auditors who will help you to understand the previous historical returns that you filed, what are the current returns that is pending to be filed, which will show in open status right here. So they will help you verify all the figures, all the sales that you've done, all the imports, all the tourist schemes. So all of it will be verified and approved by them. So once they approve the numbers and figures of your tax e-filing, so just click on submit. So then seamlessly Tally will just ask you to verify, and then once you're sure of it, so just click on yes again. So then instantly your VAT filing will be updated and you can see the VAT reference number appear right within Tally. So this definitely automates the entire process of your VAT compliance. The next big thing that is coming to the region, as we all know, e-invoicing. So we are all gearing up for this. So this is going to be a next move towards digitalization, as mentioned earlier. So Let's try to understand what is e-invoicing and why is it required. So all of you have been already doing the digital invoicing in some form or the other. Digital invoicing typically means invoices generated in Excel, PDF, or through accounting softwares like Tally. However, e-invoicing is different. The key difference is that e-invoices must be generated in a machine readable format prescribed by the government, that is FTA and Ministry of Finance. The government specifies the exact format in which invoice should be generated, and only accredited and authorized service providers by the government are allowed to generate and read these invoices. This is a significant shift from the digital invoicing practice we follow today. Another important difference is that once an e invoice is generated, it must be shared with the tax authority. Unlike the current practice where invoice can be cancelled or deleted or amended, the prescribed approach under e invoicing is that once an invoice is generated and shared, any correction must be made through credit notes. In the UAE framework, the e-invoice system is built upon Open PayPal framework. Open PayPal is an internationally accepted framework that originated in Europe, specifically in Belgium. This framework facilitates, and one of the reason why even UE started to take up invoicing in PayPal framework is because this is one of the widely internationally recognized and accepted framework which originated in Belgium. The framework facilitates cross-border trade and ensures high levels of data transparency, accessibility, and security. OpenPayPal also enforces strict norms and standards that all accredited service providers or ASPs must follow. So, Tally, yes, as Jaxa Audit has already mentioned, we are one of the pre-approved ASPs that you can see in your Ministry of Finance listing as a service providers. So, it is very important to understand what is the role of an ASP as well. So, ASPs will facilitate the flow of your invoices and ensure that they validate your invoice before it is sent and reported to Federal Tax Authority. They are also going to ensure strict standardization across your accounting in terms of PEPAL certification. What are the standards enforced by PEPAL? The same thing will be carried and further allotted to you as well from the Tally software, as we are also the ASPs. One of the important characteristics of the e-invoice is that the transparency of the invoice. So the important characteristics of e-invoice is that it's completely traceable throughout every step of its invoice life cycle, starting from the time the invoice is generated to when it is shared with the buyer and then is accepted or rejected by the buyer and finally reported to tax authority. This end-to-end visibility and complete transparency is the major objective of e-invoice. Many of you might be wondering whether this will increase the cost of implementation, or should I have a dedicated team to take over this, or the time taken for my invoice or my books of accounts will be more. No, initially, just since it's a new change, you have to put a structure and a standard of practice in place. First time adoption will definitely take some time to adjust and comply, but however, in the long run, it is only going to increase the pace at which you generate your invoices, you process. It's going to give you 100% consistency every single day. And also, it helps you rely better on your business data, as each and every invoice will be generated, it will be shared with the FTA, it cannot be altered. So you can rely on your business data at any given point in terms of accuracy as well. As per the mandate that was released on 29th September, and again it was topped up on 23rd of February. So all the businesses that do have trade license fall under e-invoicing law. So all the invoices that is raised between business to business or B2B and business to government or B2G transactions must follow and oblige with e-invoicing mandate and law. Both the issuer and as well as the receiver of the invoice must appoint an accredited service provider listed in the Imara tax portal. So there is already the timeline that is already provided by the government. So and it was recently revised a couple of days back as well. All the businesses who have an annual revenue above 50 million AED must select their ASPs by 30th October this year. And you will start raising your e-invoice from 1st Jan 2027. And the businesses which have less than 50 million in terms of revenue, they have to select their ASPs by 31st March next year, and you will start your invoicing by mid of next year. Yes, even the government entities are not excluded, even they fall under the scope of e-invoicing. So they will start selecting their ASPs by 31st March next year, and they will start their e-invoicing slightly little bit delayed compared to the second phase. It will start from October instead of July. So it is very important to understand how does the e-invoicing works, how does your invoice flow in the PayPal network. UAE has gone ahead with a five corner PayPal model. In this model, the first corner is the seller who generates the e-invoice, and the second corner is the seller's ASP, which is in this case Tally itself. So once you raise your invoice in Tally Prime, that is the first corner, then instantly Tally Prime, as a Tally, we will validate the content and the details in the invoice, ensuring that all the compliance related part is taken care. And once we validate that, we will then send it to your buyer's ASP. So even further, buyer ASP will also do the second validation. And once the content of the invoice is approved, so then it will be sent to the buyer, that is your customer. So then it is up to the customer whether to accept the invoice or reject the invoice. And once, let's say, buyer also accepts the invoice, then finally it is reported to FTA, that is the fifth corner. So the seller becomes the first corner, seller's ASP is the second corner, buyer ASP is the third corner, buyer is the fourth, and finally FTA is the fifth corner. Once the invoice has been validated and accepted, it is reported to the tax authority and then they send the acknowledgement. Both the buyer and seller in this entire framework are identified using their unique PayPal ID along with their TRN or TIN number. So India's leading e-invoice solution now getting ready for UAE. So we have already have the experience, a vast experience of implementing a successful e-invoicing system in India, and also we have implemented in Saudi as well, where we are one of the approved and accredited Zatka service providers in Saudi, and now we are just gearing up for UAE. So we have already completed the very first step. That is, we have already successfully completed the first level of PayPal certification, and we are one of the certified service providers. The second step is we have already been one of the pre-approved ASPs, which you can start. We can see in the Ministry of Finance website as well. Currently, we are in the post-production process where we are currently testing the integration between a product, that is Tally, and then the Imara tax portal for the invoice. So to give you a quick look at understanding of the timeline, within the next roughly around 2 weeks, we will be listed as an accredited service provider in the Imara tax portal, where you can start selecting Tally as your ASP. And then we will be launching our next release, that is Tally Prime Release 7.1, which will contain all the e-invoicing features in the month of June. Now, how can you select Tally as an ASP? So yes, once you log into your Imara tax portal, you can plug in your unique email ID, you can plug in your password, and then you can enter your security code. And once you log in, so then on the left hand side of your Imara tax portal, you can see e-invoicing option. So once you click there, your list of companies. So in case if you're a group company, all your multiple branches or companies will be listed right here. Select whichever company for which you want to choose Tally as an ASP. So once you select that particular company, you can also see the TIN number appear right here. And then in the list, you can see here, Tally Software Solution FZCO will appear. You can just click on this radio button and click on proceed to ASP. So once you click on proceed, another tab will open with Tally as the logo at the top. As you can see, you're proceeding to select Tally as your ASP. You can simply verify your information, your registered email ID, contact number, and your TIN number. And once you verify, it will give you a successful message where it says you're successfully selected and opted Tally to be your accredited ESP provider for e-invoicing. So next, once you're selected us as an ESP there, you can come back to Tally and just ensure to update to the release 7.1, which will be launched next month to get this invoicing feature. So once you click at the exchange, right here, you're going to get the new option, which says all VAT options. And then once you click on e-invoice login and logout, for the very first time, you need to do a handshake of your company between Tally and your Imara tax portal. So this is a one time and a first time setup. So once you click here, you will have to authenticate your Tally's email ID, the email ID which is registered on your Tally Prime license. So once you plug in your email ID here and password of your tally.net ID, then you will have to accept the terms and conditions. So it is one of the PayPal standards and mandate that every customer must read the terms and condition and have to know as to how the invoice will flow. So definitely in this five corner PayPal model, your invoices that you opt and generate e-invoice as in Tally will be visible, will transmit through the PayPal framework in XML format, which is visible to your customer's ASP, to the FTA as well. So once you accept the terms and conditions and the privacy policy, you will have to authenticate and verify your tally.net email ID with an OTP. And once it is done, then you will finally confirm your company name and your registered email ID along with Imara tax portal, your TRN, that is your VAT number, and your TIN number. And once you do this, you will verify with your Imara tax email ID as well. So there's two step of verification. The first step is your Tally license email ID authentication, and second level is your Imara tax authentication. So once this is done, then you will see Tally will establish a handshake between the software and Imara tax portal. It will roughly take a minute or so maximum. So once it is done, you can see the refresh status, and then you will see a unique PayPal ID will be allocated for your company. So you can see here the e-invoice registration is successful and completed, and this is your unique electronic address through which all of your e-invoice will flow in the PayPal framework. So 0235 is the country code allocated for UAE from the PayPal, and followed by colon, you will have your unique 10-digit PayPal ID. So now you might be wondering as to how does e-invoice work in Tally Prime? How can I track e-invoicing? How can I see if my C2 or C3 or corner 4 has accepted, not accepted, rejected? What if the details in my invoice is incorrect, right? We do not want to override or overlaw at any point. We want to comply with the law as it is mandated, because nobody wants to fall into a penalty bracket. So yes, let's see how e-invoice will happen, how the exchange of sales invoice will happen, and how Tally as an ASP will ensure that you comply at most of the points. So this is how your sales voucher will happen. So there is no much change when it comes to your sales transaction. You will continue to record as you do today. So once you accept, instantly Tally is going to prompt you that do you want to generate your e-invoice? So once you say yes, this is the screen and this is the process. Once you generate, your work is done as corner one. Now this is the corner two where Tally will start validating the content of your e-invoice. So once we validate and we find, okay, all of the document, all of the information is perfectly aligned as per the e-invoice. So then instantly it will be validated and gives you a successful message saying that we have updated the transaction and e-invoice has been generated. So now it means it has been sent to your buyer or your customer's ASP, which is corner 3. So how you can see that? So right here, you can open the voucher and you can click on e-invoice details. Once you say yes, you can see UUID. This is the unique identification address for your invoice. Some of you might be aware that KSA has a QR code. Every invoice has a unique QR code through which they track, trace the invoice. However, in UAE, this will be the unique identification, a code that will be used to track every single e-invoice that is generated in the country. And you can also further click on all test status information here that gives you visibility as to the different corner. You can see here corner 2, that is tally as an ASP has generated. It is pending from corner 3, that is buyer's ASP, and it is pending from FTA to be acknowledged. So you will find a real-time tracking and visibility of all your invoices within the tally itself. So these are the 51 mandatory information that must be provided or must be there on your invoices. Not to worry if the list is long. However, as a tally as an ASP, we will ensure that the mandatory information in the list is already present. If it is not there, we will help you to correct and upload right invoices. Now, how do we do that? So this is a sample invoice. You can see at the top, the UUID is appearing here, your customer's PayPal ID, your PayPal ID, invoice information, the taxability, all of this is provided. So this is a simple sample, you can say, for the e-invoice. This is how it will look. So there are certain exceptional cases where there are changes even at the transaction level in the product. So let's say you're giving the discount to your customer. Now, unlike the current practice, you cannot just give the invoice and save as a voucher and move on, but rather you need to also justify the reason for the invoice and also mention as to what kind of discount it is. So when you give discount in Tally, we have implemented the system as per the PayPal standard, which gives you a list of all the reasons in alignment with FTA. You must choose the appropriate reason of discount. Could be a special rebate or could be a new outlet discount. Whenever a new branch is opened, usually give a promotion discount, right? Or let's say special agreement with a particular customer, particular company. So whatever it is, you must select out of this list itself. So in some of the cases, many of you might be wondering that I am not sure of the invoice right now. So since I cannot alter an e-invoice, I don't want to generate an e-invoice, but I will wait for approval from my customer, or I have to take approval from my manager, or I have a finance head who will approve my invoices. So in that case, it is not recommended to generate a real-time e-invoice. It's rather you can hold and wait for some time, and then once you receive the approval from the relevant party, then you can choose to generate e-invoice in bulk. Now, how do we do that? So you can just disable that send e-invoice after saving every voucher, which means real-time generation of invoice. You can disable that, and then you can continue to record your normal sales voucher. So once you save every voucher, simply go to this particular report at the top, send for e-invoicing. This will show a list of all transaction, all sales voucher that you have recorded, but you have not raised e-invoice or you have not sent for e-invoice. This is pending. So now maybe it will take a day, it will take 2 days. So the law says from the date of supply, within 14 days, you must generate e-invoice. So let's say you deliver the goods today or you provide a service today. So you might raise an invoice or a sales voucher or a tax invoice after 3 days, 4 days. But you still have, like, from the date of supply, you have 14 days between which or before which you must generate an e-invoice and send it to government. So let's say you're unsure of all this invoice, but you're sure of some of the invoices. So then you can manually select few of those invoices and send for e-invoicing. Now, as I mentioned earlier, it is important for you to track whether your customer's ASP has accepted your invoice or pending to be accepted, or whenever you raise an invoice, are these in alignment with the law? Have all the details that are required or mandated, have I provided or not? Or what are the information I might have given, like VAT number, is it correct or not? Yes, Tally as an ASP, Tally as a software provider, we will ensure that all of these basic checklists and requirement are followed by you. If any errors are there, you can simply go to uncertain transaction, which is correction needed. So once you enter here, you will start seeing the invoices that are rejected for e-invoicing, which means Tally as an ASP, we validate your invoice and we found that some information is missing or they are incorrect. So here you can come to this particular report, read the description as to what is missing, what is wrong, and then you can correct this information and send it back for e-invoice generation. For instance, VAT, a company VAT information is invalid, or you have not added the VAT number of your customer, and here you can see maybe unit of measure is not properly mapped, or here you might have overcharged more than 5% of VAT or undercharged less than 5%. So in all these cases, Tally will filter those transactions here, and then you can correct it and then later send it for e-invoice generation. So now how do you as a business start preparing for e-invoice? So what should one must do for a smooth transition? So yes, you should start first sanitizing your existing business data. So we definitely know that your business data as we speak today might not be accurate or not might be 100% in line with the law. So the first step you can do is ensure that your company name, address and TRN are accurately captured in Tally as per your VAT certificate. And the same follows even for your customer and your supplier masters. In Tally Prime, collect and update your customers' VAT numbers, address, and all the other information accurately. And next, please review and classify and enter the VATability of your products, of your services accurately. Are they 5%? Are they zero rated? Are they exempt? Are they not VATable? So mention that accurately and review for your stock items or your services that you provide. As I mentioned, Tally as a software provider plus Tally as an ASP will play a pivotal role in terms of ensuring your compliance. So please do understand the role of an ASP, how they're going to ensure your onboarding process, integration requirement, and compliance as well. So Tally as an ASP will help you generate your PayPal. We will ensure that validating by every invoice, we will ensure that you generate right and accurate invoices. Then we will ensure the same has been exchanged and communicated on the PayPal framework as per the PayPal standard with your customer ASP and with your customer, and then finally we report your invoices to FTA. And yes, as I mentioned, once your e-invoice is generated, it is strictly prohibited from altering the invoice. So rather, you should start adopting right habits, which is issuing credit or debit notes for any amendments or corrections. One of the very basic requirement is yes, it is highly recommended to keep your Tally Prime on the latest version. So as we speak today, Tally Prime 7.0 is the latest version. So please keep your system up to date and ensure you have a valid Tally software subscription or TSS. And then, as I mentioned earlier, while you are giving discount, you must select the right and appropriate reason for discount that aligns with your e-invoice law. It is also important to ensure that before you generate an e-invoice, you verify the contents of your invoice, ensuring that you do not have to raise or correct later on by generating credit notes, right? So it is important to understand and put a structure in place where whatever the role each and every person in your company plays for e-invoicing, some maybe you have a purchase department to handle your purchases, you have a sales department who have sales, or you have only one person to handle all of this. You need to train your staff on Tally. You need to train them on the basic e-invoice workflow so that you have a smooth compliance adoption. So yes, I think it was a quick walkthrough among the law and as well as how Tally Prime will ensure as an ASP and as a software provider to have a easy compliance journey. Please do put your questions in the chat box. I'll try my best to answer all of them.
Yeah, thank you, Praveen, for that detailed introduction and especially on the Tally's role in the invoicing framework. So we'll quickly move on to some of the questions that we have. So Praveen, do you want me to read out the questions, or how do you want
Uh,
it to be done?
yes, please go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the question is, does e-invoicing apply to free zone companies, and does it apply to invoices issued to international clients?
First is be very clear. Do not get confused or do not mix both VAT as well as e-invoicing. There is no change in the VAT law, so VAT will continue to flow as it flows today. E-invoice will only parallelly flow and try to complement VAT. So whether you are a company who are registered for VAT or not, whether you're a company it's in mainland or free zone, whether you're a company who purely operate as a drop shipping companies where you don't bring any goods within, yes, as long as you have a trade license, you have to follow and fall under e-invoice applicability. And yes, in case where invoices are raised for international clients, for instance, out of UAE, they might not have PayPal, they might not be adopting e-invoice. So in that case, corner 3 and corner 4 will be absent. But however, you will raise e-invoice as per the e-invoice standard, and then you will share with your customer via PDF. So tally as NASP, we will ensure even those invoices have to be reported to FTA as corner 5.
Yeah, thank you, Praveen. So again, next obvious question is, what happens if a recipient hasn't appointed a ASP provider? I believe you have answered in part in your previous answer, I believe.
Yes. So let's say as the impact on you is you will continue to raise an invoice as per the law. But however, since in the transition phase or in the first phase, your customer might not have adopted or might not have an ESP. They might wait until their deadline, right? Maybe until June 2027. In that case, also only corner 1, 2, and 5 will be applicable. And yes, if anybody is delaying in terms of not following or choosing your ASP as per the deadline, please do note, yes, you will start attracting penalties at that point.
Yeah, thank you, Praveen. Uh, so one of the question is, if the buyer has a different software, how will they validate the invoice?
Uh, See, any ASP for that matter has to be accredited by FTA. So all the ASP will follow a common PEPAL standard. So there will not be conflict between if you have a different ASP and if your customer has a different ASP. All will have a standard prescribed framework with which will be common. So you are using Tally, somebody is using something else, or somebody has a different ASP. They will validate in a PayPal framework, which will be standard. So you don't have to worry on that.
All right, thank you, Praveen. So one of the question is, we are using SAP. How does this sync to Tally?
So I think I just answered that question. So,
Yeah.
however, just to add much more clarity on this, let's say whenever you raise an invoice, SAP as your ASP will validate that. They will send it to Tally. Since we are also ASP, we will have a mechanism. We have a mechanism where ASP can talk to another ASP. As I mentioned, all of your invoices will flow through PayPal network through ASPs in one format which is XML, which is readable. So all of the ASPs are well aligned on this. So you do not have to worry. You just have to ensure that you are appointing one of the accredited ASPs as per the FTA, and you have a product that can generate e-invoice. So even if your customer is on a different ASP, different product, it will be validated. The system is in place, the framework is in place, it flows through XML format in the architecture.
Yeah, thank you. So next question is, can your software, that is Tally, can this be integrated to all accounting software?
Definitely, there could be cases where many of the businesses have in-house software or external softwares who may not be ASP, so they will not be allowed to generate invoice. In that case, you can definitely integrate your software with Tally and use Tally for your e-invoicing needs.
Yeah. Um, can e-invoices be generated only using Tally Prime? I believe they are asking about which version you need to have to generate the e-invoices.
Yes, yes. So currently the latest version is 7.0. In this release, we do not have e-invoicing. It will be in the upcoming version, which is the latest update will be launching next month in June. So it will be called release 7.1. You must update to that release to get the e-invoicing feature.
All right. Um, So they're asking what is the, I mean, is there any information on the fees, etc., Praveen, which you can share, or is it still
No. So actually, if you see, as Tally, like as long as you have Tally software on the latest version, that is 7.1, which is upcoming, and you have an active TSS, uh, Tally will give you all the e-invoicing feature. There is no additional charge on that. But however, implementation could be time taking, which will be a separate charge. But for e-invoice specifically, as Tally, we will not be charging anything.
all right? Sure. Thank you. Um, what happens if a tally system is down? So I think they want to know how the troubleshooting will happen in case there is an
Yeah.
issue.
Yes, yes. So there is also a provision from the FTA itself. So as per the law, so if your system is down, Tally is down, or let's say even Imara tax portal is down, or the network, your internet network of your company could be down due to some certain technical failure. In all of these cases, government has a provision where within 2 business days you must report the details that okay, our system has failed for 2 days. So then government will give you that some timeline within which you need to fix and then upload your e-invoices.
Yeah. Thank you, Praveen. Again, there are some questions about how e-invoicing will affect if our invoice is in foreign currency and not AED, etc. Just to be clear, see, as per the VAT law, all tax invoices should reflect the AED currency. It is not permitted to issue invoices only in foreign currencies. So the e-invoicing system that is going to happen will take care of such issues in the sense that you'll be mandatorily required to issue invoices in currencies, meet all the requirements of a tax invoice, etc. So such non-compliances will not be permitted under e-invoicing. Correct, right, Praveen?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So that is where the validation will happen, I believe, at the ASP's end, whether it is meeting all the requirements of the tax invoice.
Correct, true. But again, as I mentioned, you must also follow basic certain hygiene, right? So you must
Yeah.
ensure that your master, your customer is mapped properly, whether he's a B2C or a B2B customer, what is the taxability of your product or service. So those basic hygiene that must be done at your end, and then your ASP will ensure that all the invoice details in the invoice requirements, everything are you are fulfilling. That will ensured by Tally as an ASP.
All right. Thanks, Praveen. So how is the invoice received? Is it via email or directly to our ASP software? And how is it recorded in our software?
So currently, only the exchange of the invoice is clear. But however, the incoming of the invoices, whether Tally to Tally, will it talk, right? So if I raise an invoice to my customer who is also using Tally or a different product, will it automatically appear in his software? So that is something we will. That is something we are already in the production testing with the Imara tax portal, FTA authority. We are looking for the APIs and technicality. So we will need some clarity and a couple of days to get back to you on that. So it's a technical challenge more or less, but
Okay.
however, it depends heavily on how technically FTA will help us to provide that.
All right. Sure. There's one question. We currently produce invoices in another software and mass upload them to Tally. When these invoices created, occasionally we have to make changes to the invoices. Firstly, am I able to generate the invoice naturally through the architecture before creating the e-invoice?
So I believe currently there will be a timeline within which you need to export your invoices from your current system to Tally and then generate the invoice. The timeline is there, but yeah, you can continue to do that.
Yeah. So, will the invoice number and date will it be fixed by the system, or can we customize these the invoice number and date?
Definitely, every business has its own practices, its own nature. They follow their own codes, right? So government doesn't mandate or strictly apply anywhere. Okay, this is the format that you need to follow. However, ensure that you have a separate series, proper series that you are set in place, and any invoice missing or something, you have a valid reason for that. So, for instance, if you raise 10 invoices, follow any voucher numbering that you want, you're comfortable with. That's completely all right. But however, if you have uploaded and generated invoice for 5 invoices, sixth is missing, then seven is in invoiced, eighth is missing. So in that case, it is recommended to have a proper justification.
All right. So there is a question, how are the revenue limits in 26 or 27? I believe you are asking about the revenue limit of 50 million. So as per the law, it says that what is the revenue as per your latest financial period. So I believe as of now, your latest financial period. If you're following Jan to December calendar year, you need to see whether your revenue is above or below 50 million as of December for the year Jan to December 2025. So you need to check as per your financial year and not necessarily the running year. Can we integrate Zoho with Tally? I believe that is the question. Is there any integration that is in the horizon?
Not from Tally side. As Tally, we will not be having any integration readily available to you. But however, any software for that matter, not just Zoho, any software for that matter is easily integrable through API to Tally.
All right. Copies. What if a customer does not accept an invoice?
So yes, that is also one aspect where the clarity is yet to be received. Whether if my customer doesn't, he fails to accept or he rejects the invoice, what will be the due diligence? Whether it will be deemed as a void invoice or should I have to raise a credit note, or what is my next step of action, right? So for both buyer side as well as the seller side, so that clarity is yet to be received.
All right, sure. So though such details are still being yet to be clarified by the Federal Tax Authority, I believe, or the ministry.
Absolutely. Yes, yes.
All right, sure. Is it possible to backdate invoice in e-invoicing? See, backdating an invoice is not suggested or recommended or permitted even in the usual sense. So I will not encourage that practice. So please make sure that you follow a unique sequential number and the dates according to that, because violation will attract hefty penalties from the FTA. Will invoices need to be in AED or can they be in any other currency? I believe it will only accept AED for the validation, right, Praveen?
The base currency could be ED, but however, if certain exports, let's say you might want to raise your invoice in dollars or something, it is possible. As long as AED is also mentioned or conversion is mentioned, it is completely all right. And also, from a Tally product perspective, we are also going to give you a standard. We have received around 1,300 standardized list of unit of measure that every customer must be configuring Tally Prime. Plus, a standard list of the currency codes will also now appear in the product in the latest version next month. So then you will have to map it properly.
All right. So there will be specific codes allocated for the currencies as well as the uh, units of measurement, right?
Yes, as per the PEPAL standardization. Yes.
Yeah. All right. I believe many of them want to know whether if they are using different softwares, can this be integrated to Tally, which I believe you have already answered that it would be possible. Um, let me
Yes,
see.
definitely. See, one is if your current software allows you to export into Excel and you can import into Tally, that capability is even currently present and available. But if you want to automate the entire flow of exchange of data between your any software for that matter with Tally, then you can automate it by API integration.
All right. Um, is there a concept of pro forma invoicing under e-invoicing even through Tally? Is that possible to raise pro forma invoices in Tally?
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah, but that won't go through the invoicing system, right?
No, no. Proforma was, as you know, like it's not considered as a legit
Taxable.
invoice, right? It doesn't affect anywhere in your books of accounts. So yeah.
Yeah, sure. All right. Let me see for any other questions. Um, how was the invoice received? Is it via email or directly to our ASP software? Uh,
So, to answer your question in two parts, one is yes, there is a technical challenge to it, but however, as per the law, it is very clear that the buyer or the corner four must accept or he has the option to reject your invoice as well. So, in that sense, I'm sure we will be coming up with a report where all the invoices that you've been receiving from your vendors, it will automatically pop up in a particular report where you have the option to accept or reject. Technically, we are still exploring along with FDA so that in a couple of days we'll have a clear answer on that.
all right. Thanks, Praveen. Um, so I believe we have I think there are obvious questions about is there a possibility that FTA will extend the invoicing, etc. Please note that FTA is unlikely to extend any of the time frame. Recently, they extended the timeline for appointment of ASP by businesses with revenue over 50 million. So the earlier timeline was July, and now it has been extended to October 30th. But the implementation date will start from Jan 1, 2027 itself. So it is not expected that FTA will extend any more timeline. So we would encourage everyone to work towards the invoicing implementation and the ASP appointment within your relevant deadlines. What if we have multiple companies in single tally? How does that work, Praveen, with the tally subscription?
Yeah, so if you have a active tally subscription, definitely unlimited number of companies, unlimited number of invoices can be raised as e-invoicing. But only here thing is you need to ensure that you register every single company as I walked you through the onboarding process. So handshake must happen for every company in line with Imara Tax Portal, and you have to also select Tally as an ASP for every single company in Imara Tax Portal. So once you select there, come to Tally, establish a handshake between Tally, that company once you open it, and then generate your PayPal ID. That's all. So you can do it for as many as company you want in a single license with an active TSS.
Okay, thank you, Praveen. So I think we will conclude with the questions and we'll wrap up this session. We will give in the chat the link to the Ministry of Finance webpage, so you can also access the regulations and the FAQ that is published by the ministry. So we would recommend you to definitely go through that webpage and the Ministry of Finance website for the official notifications. I have just shared that in the chat. So we'll conclude this session for now. So thank you once again for attending this webinar and wish you all a very good evening. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Praveen. Thank you very much.